How's it going, everyone? So it's been a while since I did a product related review. So today I'm going to be focusing on the Curve app. So for those unaware, Curve is basically an app that you can download on Android or iOS. And the main goal is to simplify the situation when you carry multiple cards on you. And the reason why you may do that is because you can open up several different building societies and benefit from all the different interest rates. And equally, having multiple credit cards, you can benefit from, say, the different cashback offers. But the downside is that there's no single way of viewing all the different transactions that you may have made on the multiple different cards. Now, on top of that, if you just spend using, say, a debit card, then there's certain situations where you may not be covered. So, for instance, let's say you purchase some tickets for an airline for a holiday and that airline happened to collapse. Then if you brought your plane tickets using a debit card, then you have no legal protection should you want to be reimbursed. Now, the solution would have been to just buy the airline tickets using a credit card. And that is because a credit card is covered by Section 72, where in the event of an airline going under, you are able to be reimbursed. So we're going to be discussing whether Curve enables us to be covered by similar situations that a credit card protects you from. But before we do, let's just look at the different options available for a Curve customer. So we've got the Curve Blue, which is just completely free. So if we can see all these tick boxes on the left-hand side, we can compare horizontally. We have all the same features for the Curve Black and the Curve Metal. So what are the additional features from going from a free option to a paid? So £9.99 a month. We have just 2 additional points. So worldwide travel insurance, and it's for a subset of European-based residents. And on top of that, we have electronic gadget insurance, again, for a subset of EU-based residents. So in my mind, paying around £10 a month is simply not worth it. And I say that because you can get worldwide travel insurance extremely cheap. And if you want to optionally pay for additional gadget cover, then it's really not that expensive. So for me, I can't really think of a good individual that would even want to purchase the Curve Black. Even if you are a frequent traveler, then all you need to do is buy worldwide travel insurance, notify the insurance company whenever you travel, and you are protected that way. So paying the £10 a month just seems like a waste of money. Okay, so anyone interested in the Curve Metal, the 2 additional options other than the 2 from the Curve Black, which I've ruled out are pretty useless, is that you have worldwide airport access. Now, at £14.99 a month, you would have to be someone who is a frequent flyer, and even then, you can receive such a benefit if you frequently fly with a given airline. And so for me personally, having access to the airport lounge, it's not even a big deal. And if it becomes part of your flying routine, then you become numb to the experience anyway. So that leads us onto the final point, which is rental car collision waiver insurance. Now, I'm no financial expert, but my understanding is that in the event that you hire a vehicle and you subsequently have a collision, then you don't have to pay for the damages involved. And so if you didn't have such insurance, you would be liable to pay a certain amount for damaging the vehicle or for the other individual. So out of all the points above, the final one is potentially the most useful if you hire a vehicle often. Now, at the same time, it may totally be possible to buy the same type of insurance by different means. Running a quick search earlier, I could see there were some options at around £45. And so depending on your circumstances, having this car collision waiver insurance could be pretty useful. It really depends how often you travel. Now, I want to just talk about this 1% cashback. So what happens is you can choose from 3 different retailers. On my end, there was a range of different companies. There was Apple, Netflix, Uber, John Lewis, Waitrose, Amazon, Deliveroo, Starbucks, Spotify, and TfL. So I'm sure there'll be more companies added in the future. So if you set up Curve Cash, you'll receive 1% cash back for a period of 90 days. So it's definitely useful if, say, you want to buy a new Apple-related product, you can receive 1% cash back, and that is on top of any type of cashback you receive with your credit card provider. The downside is that it's such a narrow window. You really need to think ahead and make sure you're sold on buying a product, because 1% cashback is so minimal. But for the most part, and myself included, I really don't see the point in using any of the paid versions. And so I stuck with Curve Blue. Okay, so for anyone that installs the Curve app on their phone, they're going to be presented with an icon that says Curve Cash. And so when you receive your physical Curve Blue or Curve Black or Curve Metal card, that is the card that you actually use for spending in the shops. Now, what you can do is point that physical card to the Curve Cash or a number of other cards. So we can see the Nationwide that I've added, a credit card named Tamdem, and then Accra, etc. And you can add any other type of card that you use. So Curve Cash is just a virtual currency where 100 cash points, or whatever you want to call them, equates to £1. So we can see on my screen I have a balance of £11.50, and that was just because of the sign up process when I downloaded the app. Now, depending on when you actually download this app, you may or may not receive additional sign up bonuses, but it's a small amount, so I wouldn't worry too much. So as I mentioned earlier on, adding multiple cards allows you to carry your one physical card, so in my case the Curve Blue, and when I make transactions I can decide which card I want the payment to be taken from. So at a click of a button, simply tap in on the given card. When I make a payment on the Curve Blue, that will now direct into my Nationwide account. Equally, I can switch to whatever card that I like. And so if I just go onto a credit card here, we can see all the different payments that I currently spent on. Now, you may be wondering, well, what if I forget to update which card money should be taken from? Now, what's great about Curve, and it's quite a novel feature actually, is that you can click on a given transaction and you can click on the go back in time option. So provided that the purchase was within 14 days and under £1,000, you can actually revert where you want the payment to be made to. So what you can do is simply decide which card you want it to be added to, click the icon, and the payment will be taken from the respective card. I'm not going to do that because I earn money from the cashback on my credit card, so I'm happy where the payment is. Now I'm just going to repeat the process. So if I take a given transaction and I go and click the go back in time feature, you'll notice that I can't click on the Curve Cash. Now, I've read on forums, etc., that it may be possible in the future to do so, but right now, if you want to spend the money from the Curve Cash, then you have to click on the Curve Cash, make the payment with your Curve Blue card, and funds will be deducted from your balance. Now, this now leads me on to some negatives with the whole Curve Cash concept. So in my case, I have a set amount of free money that Curve provided me with when I signed up. Let's say I wanted to go to the store and I wanted to spend £20 on a product. The transaction would have to be conducted in 2 steps. So the first transaction would be a deduction of £11.50 because that's the balance I have on my Curve Cash. And the second transaction would have to be on another card that you've set up. So for instance, the Nationwide. Now this gets really problematic. If you don't have a data plan or your phone dies, then you can't make the manual switch. So the other option is to carry the second debit card or credit card that you normally use. But that kind of defeats the purpose of carrying the Curve card in the first place. Now, some do argue that it's generally safe to always carry one other backup card, and I definitely recommend that as well. There are situations where the transaction on Curve may not always work, and I have experienced that problem. But to finish up my point with my issues with the Curve Cash, right now it's very difficult to spend the balance unless what you're spending matches the amount you have. So in my instance, £11.50. So hopefully that'll be fixed in the future. From a technical perspective, I'm not sure how complex that will be, but it sounds like Curve is at least aware of the issue and it's less than ideal in practice. Okay, so I want to wrap up with my final point, and that was one that I didn't completely finish earlier in this video, and that was if you spend with a physical credit card, you're protected from certain types of transactions and you can receive that money should there be any problems. For instance, if an airline goes under, if a product doesn't arrive, you can claim your money back and the credit card issuer will refund you the balance. So I'm very happy to say that Curve offers the exact same type of protection. So for individuals that normally use credit cards, if they point their Curve card to the credit card, you are still protected. You're covered by MasterCard and you are good to go. Now, for individuals that only use a debit card, such as Nationwide, if I spend using the Curve Blue or Black Metal, etc., then I'm equally protected, which is really good because if I just had a Nationwide account, I wouldn't be protected with the same type of level that a credit card gives. And on top of that, it's just good to know that regardless of what type of card you've selected within the app, you are covered regardless. So hopefully this video has been useful to decide whether you want to have the Curve app or not. Thanks everyone for supporting the channel. If you haven't done so, feel free to like the video, subscribe, and with that said, I'll catch you in the next one.